Welcome to the Cougar Connection podcast. I'm Kamber Arthalony, sitting down with February Staff Member of the Month, Mr. Wherley. Congratulations and thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to sit down with me today.
Busy schedule.
Busy. So what first attracted you to Illini Central?
Well, the funny thing when I read this is 20 years ago when I was trying to get a teaching job, back then there weren't many. Like you went to a certain website, all teachers know what it is, and you're looking for jobs. And at the time, there's like 5 middle school history teaching jobs in the state. And so you kind of, it's nothing against Illini Central, but you're putting it out, you're putting resumes wherever you have an opportunity. I really wanted to be like a 4th grade, middle grade school teacher, but I was willing to be a middle school teacher too. And I just sent stuff out wherever I could. It's funny, sent one to Porta, a little place called Greenview, another little place called D-Land Weldon on the way to Champaign, and here. And I knew someone from where I grew up that he worked here. He taught in Easton at the time, and I had taught his daughter half the year before I came here at home. And he was talking about how great Illini Central was, and I really didn't know where it was, not because I came from some big place, it's just we didn't come this far over. So it's funny, it ended up just being here because it was one of the places, and I'm glad it did. I'm glad I ended up here.
Me too. What is your role at Illini Central?
Well, I am currently the technology director, as well as the middle school girls basketball coach and the assistant girls basketball coach. So tech director is the main thing.
Yep. We love you as our tech director.
Tech director.
Were you a teacher before you became tech director?
Yeah, it's funny, like right over there's a piece of paper that I had to write, like go through it and figure out how many years I had been doing the things I've been doing. So I taught for 11 years before the 1 year that I became the Dean of Students. Bad decision. And those 11 years where I started out just 7th grade when I first got here. Class sizes were so big, I just taught 7th. And then as the class sizes got a little smaller, then I became 7th and 6th. And then it switched to 7th and 8th. There were a couple classes out there that they got to have me 3 straight years in the middle school, which we had a lot of fun. We were just talking about speaking at graduation. I spoke at graduation for at least one of those groups and had a million stories on those kids. So I taught history that whole time. I taught a government class because back when I first got here, we had to teach literature too. Like Mrs. Giesler had one, and Mrs. LeMasters, and the other people that I've taught with over there. So a lot of different things. And then I guess the class that you're in that does all the things that we do, I would think you could consider that teaching, but I think of it more as like facilitating. Like we work together. It's like everybody that's in the class, we work together to figure out what we can do and how we can help Illini Central. It's not as much I teach you guys anything. There's times that you guys teach me things and we learn stuff together. So if you want to call that teaching, then that would be another year. But the tech guy for 8 years now, so.
Yeah, I have to ask, who's your favorite person in the class?
Well, of course you are, Kamber.
Of course!
Because all of the things that you get done for us and the podcasting and all this, so of course you are.
Sorry everyone else. My bad. So take me through a realistic day in the life from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed.
Well, this question's funny because this job's a little bit like teaching in that you never know what you're going to get when you get here. You wake up in the morning and I'll getting around and I think I've got these things that have to get done, and then you get here and people forget their Chromebooks, or their Chromebooks are broken, or a teacher's computer's not working right, or not that long ago the internet's not working in half of the building, and all of a sudden whatever you had planned for the day, you don't get to it until after lunch, or maybe not at all. But usually, like if the day goes normal, you get here, with the class, you're getting ready. What are we going to promote? What's going on? Trying to get things posted that have to do with the school district or sports. Scholastic Bowl things, all those type of stuff. Then just before we started doing this, we shoot the morning announcements.
Yep.
We do that every day at 10:30, and then after lunch we have the class, and then it's try to finish up whatever things you can possibly get done between when the class gets out and the end of the day. During the sports season, the indoor sports season anyway, then it could be coaching or being the Illini Central Sports Network. I didn't mention that earlier, so we do a lot of stuff with that. The class does as well as me. So not very many slow days.
No, there's really not. Not in this part of the building.
No.
What motivates you to work hard?
I was very blessed because I think of this question as a teacher. I had some great teachers, and I had people where I grew up, they're icons. Like, it's not too big for me to say that they are icons where I grew up. Mrs. Jackson, who I got to teach with a half a year before I came here, she was a 5th grade teacher when I was in school. She loved her to death. She was amazing. Mrs. Burton, who she taught for an extra half a year because I was going to graduate from college in December. She taught for the fall semester just so I could be the one to take over for her. Because she and Mrs. Jackson always would get on me after I dropped out of college and didn't think I wanted to teach anymore and was farming with my dad. I would see them periodically and they'd always be like, Tony, you've got to go back, finish up. You're supposed to be a teacher. I don't care. You know, they would always be really hard on me about going back, and we're talking like in my mid-20s. And when you think of one of your favorite teachers ever, someone that you ask anyone that I grew up with about Mrs. Burton, and they will have a story about how much they love her. And the fact she wanted me to take over for her and taught for a whole extra half a year doesn't get much better than that compliment-wise. So I've always taken it really serious, trying to give this place everything that I thought those teachers gave to me when I was a kid.
Yeah. If you could go back to your first day at Illini Central, what would you say to yourself?
This one's funny too, because when you start doing something like this when you're 32 years old, you have 3 kids, obviously, I'm married and a sort of an adult, I think the thing is like, I never tried to be somebody that I wasn't. Like, I was worried when I came here, are they going to like me? Like I said, I taught at home. I coached at home where everybody had known me since I grew up. But I was afraid when I came here I'd have to change or be somebody that I wasn't. And I didn't. Like, I've been the person that you know today is the same person I've tried to be 20 years ago. Now, obviously, I've learned things and maybe gotten better at this or that. But I guess the thing is, I would tell myself, just be who you are and it'll all work out.
Yeah. If you could give your students one piece of advice, what would you say to them?
That first year, 20 years ago, because I just come off, like I said, of dropping out and going back and having to take college classes as a dad and all that, I used to get my college transcript out, and we had one of those Elmos over in Easton, where I could project on the screen, and I put up my college transcript and I showed them how the left side of it was all the bad grades and all the mistakes I had made, and the right side was all good grades where I'd applied myself and done what I needed to do. And that's the thing you should know, is you got to make sure that whatever you do, don't quit. Yeah, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to shoot yourself in the foot, or somebody else is going to make things hard for you. You're going to have challenges, but you can do it. Hang in there, keep fighting, and you'll make it. Yeah.
Who has shaped you into the person you are today?
Well, I've had the two of the best parents anybody could have. And I always have said that my mom is the side where when I would tell my classes or I tell my students or my players that I love them, that comes from my mom. My mom was one of those people you never had to worry about whether she did or not, because she was always telling you. My dad, on the other hand, he's the reason why I give this place 100% all the time, because that's who that's who he was, that's what he believed in, and he always was involved in all different kinds of things. So school board, fire department, small town stuff. So I've had two pretty good examples of how to get where I am today.
Yeah, just like listening to you that day of regionals, you were talking about your dad and your parents and everything, and you made me start crying, and I was like, you can't do this anymore. I was like, you gotta stop.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, there's not everybody has the situation that I have, and I've never taken that for granted.
Yeah.
That I may not have always believed it when I was your age. I'm sure when I was a junior in high school, there were times I couldn't stand my dad, or I didn't think my mom knew what she was talking about. But, at the age I am now, I know I was very, very blessed.
Yeah. So this award is student voted. And even though Mr. Bunner thinks that you did not earn it because you were just not a teacher, what does this award mean to you?
I think it shows that even no matter how many people vote or whatever, and we were laughing about it that day, I know that people know what I care about, that I mean what I say, that I care as much as I say I do, that the time that I spend at Illini Central, no matter what I'm doing, whether it's helping like we did in our class, whether it's shooting a video for a kindergarten teacher with a bunch of kindergarten kids, I hope that what this means is people do see what I'm trying to put out there, that what I'm trying to do is seen, understood, and appreciated.
So sorry, Mr. Bunner. Mr. Wherley does earn this award. So, once again, congratulations, Mr. Wherley, on your accomplishment, and thank you for taking the time to sit down with me today.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, of course. It's only your office.
But right.
Make sure to look out for the next Cougar Connection podcast coming soon to you.